Ford High School Weekly is brought to you by your Oklahoma Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Oklahoma. And by Billy Sims Barbecue. It's not just barbecue, it's Boomer Q.
Welcome to Ford High School Weekly. I'm your host, Deion. On this week's episode, we got football full coverage. We're talking with the athletic directors of one of your favorite rivalry games, the Sapulpa Chieftains versus the Sand Spring Sandites. Michael Rose and Rod Sitton will be joining us today. But first and foremost, we got to talk with my guys, the guys that host and cover the Ford Game of the Week. Rod Thompson and Mike Ziegenhorn will join me here today. Mike and Rod, how's it going?
What's up, Deion?
Good. What's up, D? It's that time.
It's that time, baby. Football season is here, and my guys are here to cover some of it and talk with you. But first and foremost, let's get these guys' opinion. All right, how do you individually know when it's football season? Mike, we'll start with you.
Probably about mid-June when you're trying to start before the dog days of summer. You got baseball, the spring practices have just ended, and you're thinking, man, I start counting down about the middle of June, thinking how many days until kickoff of football. In fact, I sent Rod a text about 2 weeks ago, and I said, hey, 30 days till kickoff on Friday night, August the 26th.
I'm a little jealous. How come I didn't get a little text message, man? I want to be a part of the countdown.
Sorry, I left you out completely. I'll get to next time.
Rod, how about you? How do you know when it's football season?
Well, you know, being a guy involved with basketball, when you see all the posts and everybody talk about having a great summer, you know, as far as basketball, you know, it's getting close. Then the next thing you know, I usually get a call from Mike Davis saying, hey, it's time. Let's get with Deion. Let's get ready for this show, and let's get ready. So those are two factors that I look at that I know, hey, we're getting close. Not hot chocolate weather yet, but it soon shall be here. And, hey, we know it's time for a little high school football.
Certainly is. Speaking of, I mean, you guys have covered high school football in the state of Oklahoma for a long time. Rod, let's start with you. How many years have you been covering high school football with Cox YurView?
Man, I think it's been about 22 or 23 years now. I finished college in 98. Didn't start right away. I started off doing basketball, college basketball, when Cox was still doing some, and then right after that transition. So I'm going to say 23, maybe 24. I may have been right there at 99 that I kind of cranked up. And so we've seen some good ones and seen some, you know, some outstanding stuff. So been doing it a while. I guess I'm getting old. I like to say I'm getting wise. So I drank plenty of hot chocolate there, Deion. That's what I would say.
23 years of hot chocolate, huh? All right, Zig, how about you?
Well, okay, so we're just talking Cox, probably in the 15-year range. Did a little bit off and on when I was on Channel 8, and then really for about the last 10 years, I've been doing it steady with Cox. But if you're going to talk how long I've been covering the high school football in Oklahoma, you got to go back to 1981. You weren't even born yet, Deion. That's how long it's been. 41 years.
Wow.
41.
Yeah.
41 years.
I broadcast a couple of games I can think on KXOJ. I did a Booker T. Bartlesville game one year, and then Booker T at Broken Arrow in a playoff game back in 1981.
And here I was thinking that I was catching up to you guys with my little 7 years over here, but that's not the case at all. You guys got me by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, and I've got the gray hair to show it that I've been doing it for that long.
And I just try to hide mine, Deion. I'm still young enough to try to hide it.
I hear you. Well, when we come back, we'll talk more about Oklahoma high school football. Maybe we'll get some of these guys' favorite memories as they've covered so much football in the state of Oklahoma. We'll be right back here on Ford High School Weekly. Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. We're talking with my friends, Rod Thompson and Mike Ziegenhorn. Now, Mike, you mentioned 41 years of covering high school football in the state of Oklahoma. It's been a long journey for you, but what can bring us back? All right, what's some of your favorite memories and some of your favorite games that you got to call and reach back and be a part of?
I mean, there's a ton of them. I mean, it's hard to really go. This one game sticks out. I mean, and you even hate to say the Backyard Bowl with Union and Jinx, but those games, there's been so many classic games. when they had 40,000 people in the stands, a game that went back and forth one year. Kewan Jones scores. Union scores in the last 30 seconds, and Jinx comes back and scores in the last 10 seconds of the game to go ahead and win it. There's just so many games that we have been a part of and been associated with. It's really hard just to pinpoint one in particular, but there's just so many names and players. And that's why I hate to just say Union and Jinx, but I mean, you think of some of the great games that Broken Arrow and Owasso have faced off against each other, and the games that we've seen that Bixby play in the last 5 years to get their 49-game winning streak rolling. And then even some of the smaller schools that we've covered. We've done Lincoln Christian and Holland Hall and Cassia Hall. It's just great that we have the ability to get all around the metro area and cover these games.
All right, Rod, how about you? Is there any one specific game or player that stands out to in your recent memory?
Well, I'm a lot like Zig. It's been so many. I think one, I don't remember the exact year, but I was sideline reporting at the time, and it was a Jinx Union game. It was played at TU. And I don't think it has ever rained as hard as it did that night since then in the state of Oklahoma. I was a sideline reporter. I was soaking wet. Everybody was soaking wet. It was kind of chilly also, but the rain was unbelievable, and it was impacting the game in a certain kind of way. And I just remember after that game how soaked and wet I was when I got ready to leave. So that's definitely one that sticks out. I mean, of course, those games. I tell you what, me and Zig may need to go back and do a little homework. We need to come back on the show and maybe give our top 5 games that we've ever been able to do. So that's something that you could have right there, because it is a lot of them.
Hey, I'm always
one of my favorite ones, though. We were in Bixby one night, and the weather was like 80 degrees. 80 degrees at 6 o'clock. By kickoff, the temperature was dropping, and Rod didn't have a coat, and he was freezing, and someone texted his mom and begs, and she drove up here and brought him his coat by halftime.
Hey, took care of her baby. Don't take care of her baby. Don't take care of her sugar plum. Her sugar plum was cold. She came and did what a mom and daddy do, came and brought me a coat, and I was warm. See, they was up in the booth. They was in the booth, feeling warm. I'm down there cold, forgot my coat. Hey, mom came through in the clutch on that one.
We all got to brave the elements, and we all got to love our mamas. When we come back, we'll open up the schedule and look at the 2022 roster and schedules that we'll be looking forward to over here on Ford Game of the Week. We'll be right back here on Ford High School Weekly. Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. With Ford Game of the Week is back on your TV. The rosters and the schedules all are out. You can check up on the internet, but our guys are here to break it down. Rod Thompson, Mike Ziegenhorn. Now, Zig, first and foremost, there's this look through that roster. I know Mike sent it to you. We all got it. What are some of the games that you're really looking forward to?
Obviously, the first one to kick off the season, we got Sand Springs into Sapulpa, the Highway 97 rivalry. And then, of course, we have the matchup, the Backyard Bowl, which is in week 3. And then you hit into district play. And one I'm really looking forward to is McAllister at Coweta in week 3 of district play. Eric McCarty of McAllister, just an all-out stud, 6'2", about a 200-pound running back, defensive back, is committed to OU. Looking forward to seeing him live and in person.
Yeah, that soon-to-be Sooner is pretty impressive. Got a chance to watch him and those Buffaloes play. He is one to be reckoned with. Rod, how about you? Is there any players or a game specifically that you're looking forward to?
Well, I'll kind of piggyback on Zig. I always like that we're able to cover the Highway 97 rivalry with two teams that I think are much improved this year. But even when those teams haven't been, top of their class, it's always a pretty tight, very heated game. That game is always fun to do. Of course, the Jinx Union game, of course, you're going to have that one. The other one that I look for is the Muskogee Booker T. Washington game I think we have on the schedule. Of course, this Muskogee team, Travis Hill, they have new facility down there. I believe we have 2 of their games. I think we have a game with them against Tahlequah, but an unbelievable facility that they have there that will be able to be there. And then their matchup with Booker T. Washington, when you talk about what Jonathan Brown is doing with the Hornets. Some say maybe the favorite in 6A2. And, of course, we get to see Micah Tees, the Arkansas commit, who I believe is electric and can play. The quarterback, Lathan Boone, is also very good, and they have a host of other players. So those are just a few games that stand out to me. I think we have a great lineup. and I'm excited about checking them all out.
Yeah, on the west side though, guys, I know you guys cover most of the east side games, but I'm telling you, Rod just mentioned them. Choctaw is a team that is looking to take over in that 6A2 with Bixby leaving, and I'm looking forward to a couple of their games. Edmond Santa Fe early on in the season on September 2nd, and then going down the schedule when they face off against Deer Creek, a team that made the state championship last year. Should be some pretty good matchups with those two, so should be some fun. But as far as things coming into play and us looking at the rules, because we got to break it down and give the viewers some of the things that they're not aware of and they don't know. What are some different things this year that we couldn't be expecting and so the viewers need to know about, Zig?
Well, we kind of talked about it during the break amongst ourselves, the new quarterback rule, where in the past there was no out-of-the-pocket rule for high school football, and fans didn't realize that a quarterback could run and just throw the ball away and they get a intentional grounding and everybody be booing. Well, now it's a rule in high school. They do give them a little bit of leeway. And the other thing is the playoffs in Class 6A, ever since they went to two divisions there, they just allowed 4 teams in each district in the playoffs. Well, now they're allowing 6 teams in each district into the playoffs. The first and second place teams will each get a bye in that first week. So adding some additional teams into the playoff format for 6A.
I think when you look at Deion, something that I look at and kind of on the rule side, it'll be interesting to see how much of an impact this plays on teams that have quarterbacks who make a living running out of the pocket, as opposed to a standing in the pocket. Quarterback may favor them a little bit, and also not a rule, but something I think we look at. And I'll ask you guys, hey, how do you think Bigsby is going to adjust to going to Class 6A1? That should be interesting.
Great minds think alike, Rod. I was just going to bring that same question up too. Here's the deal. This is a team that's been undefeated 4 years now. So it's going to be very interesting to see what differences they come across when they come into 6A1. But the fact of the matter is they faced a number of those teams already in their non-district schedules, and they didn't seem to be fazed by them then. It's going to be interesting to see when they have to face them all together in a whole district and a whole schedule, how it will differ.
Well, I look at it like this. I think that the level of talent that they have, I mean, they've shown that they can beat those teams. The thing that I will look at is the wear and tear of playing the physical schedule, because I think we would all agree the wear and tear, the physicality of 6A2 and 6A1 is totally different. And we know in any sport, especially football, it's all about being healthy. That adjustment, as you said, Deion, playing every Friday night or Thursday night whenever they play, teams is going to be more physical. How does that weigh out, and how healthy are you at the end of the season? I think that's something to look at, but Lauren Montgomery's done a tremendous job. They're very talented. I think they'll fare just fine, but let's watch and see how the wear and tear and if the injury bug is something that we look at because of the physicality of Class 6A1.
Yeah, and those guys will be playing a full game now. In the past, they've been blowing people out at the half. So you're right, Rod. That'll make a big difference for them. And we're going to find out in week 0 when they face Owasso on that Thursday night to open up things. In fact, another twist to that game, Owasso's quarterback from a year ago, Austin Havens, now down at Bixby.
Oh.
Can we have any more quarterbacks transfer in this area?
Grab the popcorn, Zig. I mean, what is this?
It should be really interesting to see how all that comes into play. And again, if you want to check it out, make sure you tune in on YurView. Cox YurView will have the games for you all season long. Final words, Zig and Rod, what you got?
Hey, I look forward to a great season. I'm fired up to work with Rod again.
It's always fun working with my guy Zig. Have him many years, 25, 30. Who's counting? Get us the popcorn. Get us the hot chocolate when we need it. Hey, and let's cheer on and bring a lot of joy to the viewers and really showcase all these young men and young women who go out and work very hard. And we're just so proud and fortunate we're being able to cover it and to be able to shed light and promote these young people who work so hard to play this great game.
Like Rod said, get your hot chocolate and get your popcorn ready. Football season is back in the state of Oklahoma. Coming up next, we'll talk to the athletic directors of the Highway 97 Rivalry. Welcome back to Ford High School Weekly. We're going to talk a little bit about the Highway 97 Rivalry. To do that, we welcome in the athletic director of both schools, Michael Rose of Sapulpa and Rod Sitton of Sand Springs. How's it going, guys?
Great. Good to be here.
So now, guys, don't start fighting with us yet, okay? I know you guys got a rivalry, but like let's be cordial right now, okay?
Sure.
All right, so you guys will be facing off in this rivalry game once again this year to start the football season. What does it mean to you guys to have this rivalry at this time of the year, especially during football season?
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, for me, Deion, this is my 4th year at Sapulpa. So, being from Oklahoma, having been from the Tulsa area before I went over to Sapulpa, you hear about it all the time, just how intense the rivalry is. And so getting to experience it the last 4 years, it means everything to the kids, I think, on both sides. All sports, it doesn't matter what sport it is, but to start the school year off with the football game, especially at your school, for us being the host this year, it's huge. People have been talking about this on our end since last spring, when we released the schedule. So people, our community, our kids, our school is very, very excited about this game.
And Michael, if you don't mind me asking you, how did you get into, being athletic director?
Oh, yeah. Well, so this is my 17th year overall in education. Was a teacher and a coach previously. Was over at Union, spent 5 years in Missouri, then was a teacher and a coach over at Union for a couple years, and had the privilege of working for Emily Barkley as assistant AD for 5 years, and then was in charge of student life and student activities for my last 2 over there, and then was fortunate when Jason Parker left Sapulpa to get the job over there. And so going into my 4th year, it's been a whole lot of fun, that is for sure.
I can imagine so. Rod, how about you? How did you become the athletic director at Sand Springs?
Well, I've actually been in Sand Springs. This will be my 20th year and my 7th year as athletic director. But, so I've lived the rivalry a little bit longer than a lot of people. But my background is in athletics. I coached and taught for 12 years before getting into administration. Then I was the assistant principal at the high school before taking over as athletic director.
So since you have so much experience with the rivalry, Rod, what can you expect from this year's game?
Well, it's one of those games where it doesn't matter who's got the talent, who's got the momentum. It's anybody's opportunity to win, and you just can't guess. If you're betting on this game, you're going to lose one way or the other. Our people start pointing at this game when the schedule comes out. And, Mike and I were able to get together last year with our coaches and start talking about when we're going to make the schedule and when we want to play, and us bumping it to 0 week, making it a premier showcase game to start the season out for both of our districts and get everybody hyped up. And it's awesome. I mean, we only had 1 year of 0 week, and I'm telling you, it was worth it.
What's the crowd like normally at these football games? I mean, it's got to be a big one if it's a rivalry.
Well, I'll tell you, it doesn't matter where we play; it's full. It's not just kids; it's everyone from the 80-year-old grandma to the first grader who's first time they've ever been to a high school football game. They know it's Sand Springs Sapulpa. This is the rivalry. This is the week you look for. Like our coaching staff, we kind of have a joke going around that if you want your job for next year, you better beat Sapulpa. And I'm pretty sure in our conversations with Mike, it's the same way on that side. You better beat Sand Springs. And it's kind of a joke. We wouldn't fire somebody because you lose one game, but it's that kind of tells you where we're at mentality wise. As far as the importance of it, everybody loves it.
Who doesn't like it when their job's on the line? Kidding. But I have heard from the grapevine that you guys have some new additions to the rivalry game this year, a new title sponsor. Michael, you can go ahead and lead us off on this. Who is that new title sponsor?
Yeah, it's a privilege to have American Heritage Bank as the corporate sponsor. It's American Heritage Bank Highway 97 rivalry. They were founded in Sapulpa, but they have branches in both locations, and I know that they do a lot for us, not just as an athletic department, but as a district as a whole. And talking with Rod and Bobby, I know that American Heritage Bank is highly involved with Sand Springs as well. So when we approached them about this opportunity, Rod, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that we had an answer within a week. It was not.
Absolutely did. And Tammy Fleek was that. She's that person.
Tammy's who we both work with, and she, we proposed the idea to her via email, and it was like 2-3 days later. It's like, we're in. It's like, well, all right. But again, they are so supportive. I can't think of a time that, me personally, that I haven't called or texted Tammy and like, hey, we need this, or can you help with this, or do y'all want to be involved with this? And it's always yes. And There's never really a what is it. It's always like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We want to be involved. So they're awesome to work with.
Yeah, it's always a blast watching you guys take the field, and I'm telling you, our fans and our viewers have a treat watching you guys, especially Friday, August 26th, when you guys will be taking on each other. It should be a good one.
Right. One of the things that, when we first started working on it was, we need to make sure that if we're going to have it and we can do it, let's get it on TV. So our first call was to you guys, and immediately it was absolutely, we're in. Just tell us the date and we'll go from there. So it really has just fallen into place for us.
Well, Michael, Rod, thank you so much for joining us here today, and we can't wait for August 26th, where you're showcasing on Ford High School Weekly.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go Sandites.
They come again. In blocking up front, Mason's got time. Receiver wide open. D'Angelo Mitchell, touchdown.
Go to YurView.com/OK for highlights. And check out our podcast and past episodes at YurView.com/OK. And remember, guys, make sure you tune into the Ford Game of the Week, as the Western Heights are at Putnam City West. And then on Friday, we have the Sandites versus Sapulpa Chieftains. And remember, only the best in Oklahoma make the Ford High School Weekly. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Deion Amati.
Ford High School Weekly has been brought to you by your Oklahoma Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Oklahoma. And by Billy Sims Barbecue. It's not just barbecue, it's Boomer Q.